Evening at the Movies is a proud member of the I Did Not Make These Rankings podcast network. Other shows in the network include Mass Debaters, The Sip List, Crushgasm, Love is Black, Men Are the Prize, Crime Rewind, and Literature Reproduce. You can find out all about our shows and more at idnmtrpodcastnetwork.com. Happy listening. You are now entering the world of a movie review. A world full of drama, joy, ridicule, movie spoilers, unpopular opinions, and adult humor for as far as the eye can see. Welcome to An Evening at the Movies. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
If you know, you know.
I was, yes. Hi. I was editing the privacy settings. Being warned. So, haha.
Well, it's good. I said hello, everybody.
Uh,
You should say it. I should
Yay.
say it. Hello, everybody.
With all of that said, so, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to everybody's favorite movie-based podcast. This is An Evening at the Movies. I am your excited to be here co-host. I am Kasey B, otherwise known as Manson, Bundy, OJ.
You could be one of the big boys.
You know.
You know what we should start doing? We should, we'd have to not say what we're doing in the show notes or in the comments. See if we can make people guess what movie we're covering by saying quotes from it before we actually get to it. But as soon as they click on the video, they know. So never mind.
Well, I mean, the title of the episode is An Evening with Scream 2.
But so. No, I mean just on the live. Does it say that on the live? I don't know. Never mind. Just ignore me. Anyway.
We're spitballing. Happy Sunday.
Yeah. Yes.
As I said, this is an evening at the movies. Before I introduce my co-host, just so you all know, it's stale popcorn, watered down sodas, favorite movies, why we love them. Welcome back, co-host.
Thanks. What's up, people? I'm Amanda, your co-hostess with the mostest. I'm having the mostest of a gummy and a mimosa. So good luck, everybody.
I'm not going to lie.
Like that.
After yesterday, I was going to say after yesterday, the whole Kohlhofer family probably deserves all the gummies and all the mimosas.
Yeah, yesterday was a heavy drinking day. My poor Sooners. I mean, I knew they were going to lose. I had zero expectations of beating the number one team, but damn, did y'all have to do us like that? Like, did we have to go down like a bunch of little bitches? Anyway, I'm sorry. I shouldn't criticize. It's not me out there. So,
with all of that said, though, too, I'm sure you've talked to him. How's the husband doing?
He's good. I don't think he took the 2 losses as bad because he was so dehydrated yesterday. So for people who don't know, I'm talking about OU Texas, the Red River rivalry, and it's at the State Fair of Texas every year at the Cotton Bowl. And it's always hot as fuck. Well, according to multiple sources in different parts of the stadium, they ran out of water and food by halftime, and they ran out of beer shortly after. And it's like, how do you run out of water? This is not your first rodeo. This game's been played for like 100 years in the same spot. Maybe not 100, but it's close. Yeah. Like, and several years ago, I mean, there's always people that kind of get sick or pass out or whatever, but a few years ago, it was like a bunch of people, like including band members, and like passing out, having to be carried out on stretchers. Like, how do you run out of water? Anyway. All that to say, he gets very overheated and he got a little sick. And so I think he's just resting and hydrating and he's more concerned with that, which I'm grateful for. George has grown a lot
Well,
in his attitude about that. I will say, when we first started dating, if I dared say it's just a game, he'd ditch me for 2 hours. Now he's just like, yeah, that sucks. So he's grown.
yeah. Well, on top of it, it didn't help either that that team from Eugene, Oregon, happened to
Yeah,
beat the holy crap out of freaking
yeah.
Ohio State yesterday too.
They did not
So
beat the crap
not
out of them. It was like a 1 point game. It
yeah,
was.
but there was
It
a
was
whole
a
bunch.
close. Yeah. I
It
mean,
was. I didn't watch the game, but I saw enough of the damn highlights to understand Ohio State and Oregon was a shit show last night.
it stayed within 1 to 3 points. I think most of the game. So I didn't watch all of it. I only watched a little bit because I was after OU lost. I was like, I got to turn on some horror movies. Shit. In fact, I turned on today's movie. But yeah. Anyway, off
Yes, you
topic.
did. I have
But
pictures in the group chat.
yes, I'm here with my mimosa and my horror Barbie shirt, which has Ghostface up here in the top right corner. So there you go. If Ghostface was a Barbie, Shanna and I both have this shirt,
Oh,
so
Lord.
like it. We ordered it right after the Barbie movie. It's got Jason, Ghostface, Leatherface, and Michael. Michael should be on top, but it is what it is. He can be on top right
No,
here.
well, no. Freddie is not a Barbie.
I've seen one
So
of these with Freddie on it too. He could easily be a Barbie.
no,
He's just a
Freddie
Barbie
is not a
girl in a
Barbie.
burnt up world.
Yeah, well,
Anyway,
life is melted plastic. It is not fantastic.
yeah, not for those
So,
kids.
for those of you who do not know, we are here. We are smack dab in the middle of Halloween Horror Fest 2024. And last week we had an amazing discussion with everybody's favorite, well, one of everybody's favorite horror squad members, Mr. Chancey Greif, and we talked about Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, um, boop, boop. And then
Chauncey.
we got some other stuff coming up the next couple weeks that Bram Stoker's Dracula, Final Destination. But before we can get to that, as Dre says, before we can go into the future, we must go into, well, I'm going to amend it. Before we can go into the future, we have to go into the present.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna say.
this week we're going back to college. Oh dear God,
Yeah.
20 some odd freaking years ago, but
Whew.
we're going back to college, damn it. And we're going to talk about the Wes Craven classic. Or is it a classic?
It's a
We will
classic.
find out by the end of this episode. We'll be talking Scream 2. So,
Woo! And I
yay.
was in college when this movie came out. I was a senior in high school when the first Scream came out. So I was in the midst of college life during, or maybe not. Maybe I was done because this movie came out like 4 or 5 years later, didn't it? What year did it come out?
Uh-uh.
You're going to tell us. I feel like I was still in
Well,
college.
I'm going to tell you right fucking now because we're at
Okay.
that point of the show.
All right, go for it.
So, Scream 2 released on December 12th, 1997.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't realize it was that close after. So yeah, I was either
Uh-huh.
still in high school or my first semester of college. What month did you say?
Yeah. December 12th.
Okay, I was in college.
Literally
Sorry.
right after your birthday.
Yep.
That was directed by Wes Craven, obviously, like I said. Released by Dimension Films, had a $24 million budget, made a whopping
Wait, let me guess.
$172 million.
Never mind.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's okay. It's cool.
Okay, well, $172 million at the box office.
Nice.
We will save your your guess for Scream 3 because I think that will be just as interesting of a guess.
Because Scream 3 is the one that came out a lot later, right? Wasn't Scream 3 like 2005, 2006? I have to Google it, but
I think
because
that
after
was
the
pretty
first
close.
two, there was a big gap between a lot of these movies until the new ones. So,
I'm looking it up as we speak. If you haven't seen Scream 2, it is available for streaming on the Max, not the restaurant that Zach and Kelly and all them went to. But um,
save the max.
so everybody's favorite game time. Are you ready to not to? Um, are you ready to wager a guess as to what you think the Rotten Tomato score for this movie is? And I have both.
Yeah. So yesterday, Kasey kind of inadvertently gave me the impression that these scores were very far apart. And obviously, I think you got to say audience score is high and critics score is low, which I don't really understand. And we'll get into that. The only thing I can imagine is that the critics thought it was, I could see them saying this movie was too meta, like it was a little too on the nose. Because they already went there with the first one and they really doubled down in this one, which I enjoyed, but I could see where critics would be like, "Nee, nee, nee." Anyway, okay. I think the audience score is going to be high. I haven't talked to anybody who doesn't like this one. In fact, of all the people I know that love the Scream movies, I'm the only one that says this is my least favorite, and I still love it. Audience, I'm going to go 83%. Critics score, I mean, how far apart are we talking here? Like grossly far apart, or like as Chancey's not here, what's the spread? I get the 3-point
Yeah.
spread, right?
that
Okay.
that that okay, so the
Okay.
gap, my fingers cannot be seen on the screen. That's how big
Yeah.
the gap is.
I think this is just tragically low if it's even close to this, but I'm going to go with 49 for the tomato meter. Grossly under reviewed if that's, or underappreciated if that's the case. Oh, the gummy's kicking in.
So good because you're going to need it as I reveal these answers to
Oh,
the
good.
questions of the day.
The audience
The
score better at least be
tomato
higher. I'm gonna be pissed. Sorry, go ahead.
the tomato meter is on 85 reviews and 81%,
What did I say?
and that would be the critics.
Wait, what?
Way low.
Okay,
That's the one you said like 40 something percent.
you're telling me the critics have it at 81%? You're
Uh-huh.
you're fucking lying. Wow.
I will screenshot after I
I
tell you what
believe you.
the audience score is.
Didn't I
I
say
will,
81
but
for the audience? Or did I
no,
say
yeah,
83?
you
I
said
don't
like
remember.
81 for the, you said 80 something for the audience, which would be
Wow.
wrong because the audience score on 250,000 plus reviews is 58%.
What the French toast? Are you
I
kidding
told
me right
you
now?
last night. There's literally almost a 30% gap in between these two scores. And this is, like you said,
I
I
would
can
understand that if it were
understand the fact
reversed.
that,
If it were the other
yeah,
way around, I would get it. I don't know anybody that doesn't like Scream 2. Like, or that that's wild. Okay.
it,
Quick
like you
side
said,
note.
it may not necessarily be my number one favorite movie in the franchise,
No.
but it's not a horrible movie at all by any stretch of the
No.
imagination.
I mean, when I say it's my
So,
least favorite, I mean that in the same idea as it's my least favorite kind of cheese. Like, they're all good, they're all great, but you have to rank them. That's my lowest ranked one, but that doesn't mean I don't like it. Side note, if you have
well,
Dallas
yeah.
Goedert on any of your fantasy teams, he is out of the game. Sucks for me.
Well,
I
I
don't.
mean,
Which team do I have him on though?
I'm,
Oh, okay, not on ours. I don't have him on ours, so that's good.
I mean,
Anyway,
I'm kind of conflicted right now because I've got a Green Bay wide receiver that is actually having a decent game, but my opponent in the Sacco has
mm,
Jordan Love for their starting quarterback. So
mm,
it
I
it's like
better
the
make sure I don't.
whole Mahomes and Kelsey thing with you and I. It's like Patrick could light it up, but then he keeps
Yeah,
throwing the ball to Travis, and it all balances out and neutralizes each other. So at the end of the day, I'm not really winning per se. And on top of it, the Chiefs are off this week, so
yeah.
I've literally got to rely on Aaron Rodgers in one league and
I thought Aaron Rodgers was out.
uh,
Am I
oh, don't
crazy?
you
I
dare
thought
tell
Aaron
me that.
Rodgers was out. Okay, I
Oh,
might be. I
so
might be insane. Don't ask
anyway,
me.
90 second beat the clock challenge.
Okay,
Go
so
while I double check and make sure Aaron's not out.
okay. Well, real quick, you'll enjoy this. I know you're checking, but you can still listen. So, I didn't realize that one of the games was in London, so it started really early this morning. So George and I are like, "Oh yeah, the game's about to start," and this was like closer to like 9:30. The game had already started. We didn't know. So anyway, the point is, I thought this game had already been played and was over, but it was being played in the current time. So I pull up my team, and as we know, I have this thing going on with me where all of my players will underperform at the same time. And I pull it up and I see DeAndre Swift, and he's projected to have like 9 points, and he had point 0.5. I just started screaming. I was like, "What the fuck? How can he underperform that much? I'm gonna get the Sacco again." And then we turned on the TV and we were like, "Oh, that game's being played right now. It just started." So it was funny.
Yeah, I starting quarterback in the Sacco League is Trevor Lawrence, and he had a meh game. They got their asses handed to him, but he still had a meh game. So,
Well, Swift exceeded his projected points, so that was good. All right.
ooh.
So
So
Scream
tell us,
2.
co-host, what is Scream 2 about?
Thank you, Casey. I'm glad you asked. In Scream 2, we reunite with Sydney and tabloid reporter Gail Weathers, who survived the events of the first Scream, but their nightmare isn't over. When two college students are murdered at a sneak preview of Stab, a movie based on the events from the first film, it's clearly a copycat killer that is doing the killings. Sydney and Gail, as well as fellow survivors Dewey and Randy, have to find out who is behind this new murder spree before they all end up dead.
Bum bum bum.
Bum bum.
So,
and
I
I
mean,
oh
th- go ahead.
well, did you time me? I
No,
was just wondering how long it was. Like 12 seconds.
what I
Okay.
was gonna say, it wasn't longer than probably 15 seconds, maybe 17 at the most.
So I do have a new ish segment to introduce, and I am going to try to do this on every horror episode from now on. We tried it once, and then I kind of forgot about it. Before we do it, I have to toot my own horn, pat my own self on the back, or make whatever. I feel kind of special right now. So Anybody watches AMC or Shudder, you probably know who Joe Bob Briggs is. He does The Last Drive-In. It's a movie review show. Um, why are you pointing at your head? Because you know who he is?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So
Because I'm cool like that.
I follow Joe Bob and Darcy, his sidekick, on Twitter. And the other night they did an AMC special. So normally it's on Shudder, so their dialogue isn't edited and the movies aren't edited, which is a lot more fun, I will tell you. However, they did an AMC special, so stuff's edited, but it was Friday the 13th. And so people are live tweeting, and Joe Bob and Darcy both retweeted me, and Darcy replied to me twice. So I feel very, very special. So I just had to throw that out there.
Whoop, whoop.
But if you watch The Last Drive-In, you know that Joe Bob does a drive-in totals, which he does counts of just random shit throughout the movie. So as to not be copyrighted, unless you guys want to have me on your show, Joe Bob and Darcy, we're going to call this the Horror Squad Counts. So in Scream 2, we have 10 dead bodies, 0 breasts, which is surprising. 1 almost session of aardvarking, but it got interrupted. 1 movie within a movie. 17 F-bombs. 1 hand on a breast. That's as close as we get. Why are you looking at me like that? You think 17's not right?
$17 what? What was
Oh, I didn't know why you were making that face at me. We're on a delay. I'm just going to keep going. Okay. 17
yeah,
F-bombs. Gratuitous use of ghost face masks. Gratuitous self-awareness. Gratuitous meta movie references. 1 pull through a head. Sequel phobia. 1 brutal slap across the face. Greek life inaccuracies. Knife foo, iron pole foo, and handgun foo. There you go. For people that don't know, aardvarking is sex and foo is weapons, and the rest is just random shit. You know what gratuitous means, I hope. Anyway.
yes.
So those are our totals.
So lots of a wealth of useless trivia that everybody will now have etched into the back of their brains now until the end of time. Just in case somebody ever asks you how many times F bombs are dropped in Scream 2, now you know 17.
Yeah, exactly. My hair is a hot fucking mess. And if you ever
If
want to know
anybody
how
ever
many
asks
kills there were, there's 10.
how many times did boobs show up in the movie, not one.
Not one. 1 hand on a
They,
boob on top of the clothes. That's all you get, people. That is
and
all
even
you
then,
get.
it's not like it was, I mean, it happened. I mean, but so I feel like there was a discussion topic literally forced into the script in this movie that we can't really get
Excuse me.
into the discussion without addressing the elephant in the room.
Okay.
So, for everybody who knows, um, obviously, Scream 2 is the sequel to Scream, and it comes up very early in the movie about copycat killers, blah 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 blah, sequels, whatever,
Mm.
and um, it gets brought up in a classroom setting that sequels, by definition, are inferior to the original, and Mr. Timothy Oliphant
Joelle.
happens to
Sorry.
happens to supply the wealthful knowledge that there are a wealth of sequels that have surpassed their originals.
I would say there's a handful, maybe 1 handful, A wealth is a little bit of an exaggeration. He only named one. So,
No, he did only name one, but there are a few that. Well, yeah. What would okay? So my question that I'm going to pose
okay.
is, what would be your favorite sequel that surpassed the original? Not that I
That's
don't know what it is already.
Well, no, it's not what you think because my problem is I don't know that there are any that surpass the original except for one that I can think of right now. But I think there are several that are equal to, like Ghostbusters 2. I believe is equal to the first movie. I don't think it's better than the first movie, but I think they're equally good. Um I mean, if you have to ask me right now off the top of my head, it's The Godfather Part 2, like Mickey said in the movie. That is the only sequel I can think of that I enjoy more than the original movie, that I would prefer to watch over the original. So you have to tell me what you think because I can't think of any
That was
other
the one that I
ones.
thought you were going to say.
Oh, okay. I thought you thought I was going to say Ghostbusters 2. And I was like,
No,
no.
no, no. I will give you the fact that you can think that it's on the same level as the original. I mean, Papa Palpatine and I will disagree with you, but you know,
Yeah, that's fine.
I
You
don't.
guys are allowed to be wrong. I
I
mean, you're men. You're used to it. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I mean,
whatever.
to surpass the original, I think is a really, really tough. I mean, that's why for me, that's why I say there's a handful. I can't even think of another one right now. May if
Empire
this
Strikes Back.
counts, huh?
Empire Strikes Back.
Part of a trilogy, not a sequel, not the same thing. Little did Randy know.
Whatever.
Um, the only if this counts, the only other one I can think of that's just slightly better is Doctor Sleep. And that's slightly, like very, very slightly, that I enjoy it a little bit more. But for me, most of them are either they're on the same level or they're not.
Yeah, and we kind of sort of talked about that last month when we talked about Doctor Sleep as well.
Yeah.
Because I mean, yeah,
I'm sorry to everybody
if
watching
you
live. I
want,
keep messing with my hair.
if you want the details of the discussion and you haven't yet watched the episode, we highly recommend you go back and watch Doctor Sleep. It's not like it's that far back in the library either. It's only like 6 episodes back. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well, can you think of any besides Godfather 2 and maybe Doctor Sleep?
yeah, Empire Strikes Back.
That doesn't count.
And again, it the one time in his movie and a half that he was a part of the damn franchise that he actually was wrong. But yes, Randy is wrong. It's still a sequel.
Okay, fine.
Yes, it is technically a part of a trilogy, but still,
Well,
there's
you know why he
three
said that,
parts
right?
to a trilogy.
He said that because at the time they said Scream 3 was going to be the last one. Of course, the last one is never the last one. We all know that, but that's the reason he said that. It's just another meta reference for them to insert. Like I said, I feel like the critics would think this movie is a little overly meta. Um, but you can't even bash it for that because they do it for you in the movie. So it's like
Yeah,
they're very self aware.
no, and there's technically no. I mean, in a way, like you said, he is right. At the time, Star Wars initially was Episode 4, 5, and 6, and that was it. There wasn't
Yeah.
supposed to be any more. We still hadn't had the prequels yet. We still hadn't had the J.J.
Oh, the
Abrams
bliss.
movies yet. Yeah, technically Scream 3 in 2000. I did look it up. So 96, 97, and then 2000 was supposed
Yeah.
to be it for the Scream franchise as well. Unbeknownst to them, a TV show and four,
That
five,
show is not
six,
good.
and now no, that show was not. But and then Scream 7 will be out in 2025.
I think, yeah, I think that's
So okay, so while we're on the subject of release dates for all of this, um, this was actually kind of sort of a question I had and was really hoping to have our partner in crime here with us for the question because I knew it would trigger a meltdown.
uh-oh.
But so 1996, Scream comes out, and obviously Sydney and Randy are seniors in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Then Scream 2 comes out in 1997, and they're smack dab in the middle of their freshman year at college.
Yeah.
But yet, between the events of Scream 1 and smack dab in the middle of their freshman year of college, Stab was written, filmed, post production, and released all within literally like a year of itself.
I mean, in the 90s, I think you could pull that off. Plus, we all know that continuity is never a consideration for horror writers. Like, especially in horror movies, continuity is like the last thing on their list. So, yeah, that's a valid point, but I'm not going to get mad about it. I think in the 90s, it could have been pulled off. Um, Even though Dewey said Gail's a mediocre writer, I'm sure she churned it out fast to because the faster you can go to bank off something like that, that's what you want to do. I mean, you got to keep in mind in real life, the movie Selena was released very shortly after her death. Selena died in 90 what? 3, 94, and I want to say Selena was like 95 or 96. I may be off on the years, but that's about how close they were. They were very closely done
Mm,
together.
she, God, if I remember correctly, I
Okay,
believe.
she died in 95, and I know the movie came out in like 96 or 97. Let's see. But anyway, all
Yeah, I was
that to
gonna say like
say
her,
97. So
her,
yeah,
her murder and Brandon Lee's death were literally like a year or 2 years apart
yeah.
to the day.
So March March of 95 she died. March of 97 the movie was released. So I mean that's 2 years, not one, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure Chansey would be losing it right now. To me, it's just not that big of a deal. But we're used to that with horror movies. They don't give a fuck.
No, but that's the entertaining part about um, our great friend Chancey Greif is he
True.
can fixate on the little details and blow it up into epic proportions and have epic meltdowns over some of the
Very,
most off the wall shit.
very
So,
true.
da, 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 do you consider Scream 2 to be a classic movie?
I mean, no. I consider the original Scream to be a classic. Um, all of the others I would say are very worthy sequels, but none of them are like, if you say Scream 2, I don't go, oh my God, what an amazing like movie. It's a classic. It's a must watch. It's good. It's fine. It does a good job. It's a worthy sequel to the first movie, but I wouldn't call it a classic.
Mhm. Well, to me, the in my opinion, the definition of a classic is something groundbreaking,
Right.
and
Original.
I don't, yeah, I don't think Scream 2 reinvented the wheel.
Again,
Scream 1
Godfather 2 might
reinvented
be
the
the only
wheel
sequel I
because,
would call a classic. Oh, sorry. I don't think many sequels can be
Empire
called
Strikes Back.
classics. Okay, all right, fine. But again, to me, that's a trilogy, and I would consider all three of them to be classics because they belong together. Which I guess Godfather and
True.
Godfather 2 do as well. I don't know. I don't know. The unique thing about
Well,
Godfather 2,
I was gonna say,
do what?
technically by definition, Godfather 1, Godfather 2, Godfather 3. Put them together and you have a trilogy.
Yeah, that's true. Um, I think for me, Godfather 2, you can watch it and have not seen the first movie and still enjoy it, which can be said for the Scream movies too, I think, except for not knowing all the lore. But for a horror movie, lore just makes it more fun. It's not necessarily vital to the story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I definitely feel like Godfather 2, if you haven't seen 1, you can definitely drop in and watch Godfather 2 and not necessarily feel like you're missing out on a whole lot, because even the Michael portion of that story, you're basically picking up with him being the head of his family.
Yeah, all
You don't
you miss is that
necessarily
he didn't
need the,
want to do that.
yeah. So, I mean, it maybe it helps define the psychological aspect at the end of the movie, but I think at the end of the day, you get enough information through the 3.5 hours of the movie that you can pick up the details, and by the end of the movie, you'll be fine.
Right. It was
So
actually the first one I saw. So,
I watched them in order only because I didn't know exactly what I was going into when I first watched the movie. I didn't honestly watch the Godfather movies until, God, I want to say 1995. And yeah,
yeah.
I was like, I start with 1, then 2, then 3, because at the end of the day, it's like I didn't know exactly what number 2 was. So,
Yeah.
let's see what else do we have. Oh,
I I just oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Oh, I was
No,
saying
no,
I
no.
did want to say I love how the movie opens with um the dialogue about kind of like black exploitation in horror movies. Immediately they're talking about how
Mhm.
black people never survive in horror movies, and so they're good about acknowledging that and talking about it. But also, I love, the guy being like, well, where did you get your PhD in black cinema? So he's like, it's not that big a deal, but she's very, and she's right. Um, but of course, Wes Craven knows he still has to play by those rules. And so, of course, those two die. And Hallie dies, which I thought was a bummer,
Mhm.
but we did get Joel. Joel got to live. So, but I thought that dialogue was funny and again, just meta and on the point because it's very true. And it's like they're talking about it. So you think those two might live. And then, of course, they don't.
Well, therein lies the beauty of the Scream franchise is they, and a lot of it was Wes Craven setting the table for everything to come, but pull back the curtain and literally show you everything that you never really got to see but had to discover on your own
Hmm.
before. Got Randy talking about all the damn rules for 3 movies. And yes, I understand the fact that he died in the second movie, but he still shows up in the third movie to
Yeah.
reiterate the trilogy rules. So, but yeah, they're like we said numerous times. Scream was meta before meta was cool.
Yeah. That is very
So,
true.
so
Um,
uh, go ahead.
no, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay. Um, at some point, I do want to have a discussion about the oh my god oversaturated freaking cast list that they have in this freaking movie.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so David Arquette, Nev Campbell, Courtney Cox, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Jamie Kennedy, Laurie Metcalf, Elise Neal, Jerry O'Connell, Timothy Oliphant, Jada Pinkett, Liv Schreiber, Dwayne Martin, Rebecca Gayheart, Portia de Rossi, Omar Epps, Heather Graham, Joshua Jackson, Nancy O'Dell, Tori Spelling, Luke Wilson. Oh my God, that was a long freaking list. Could you have any more freaking people?
Yeah, I love that they casted the the movie within the movie.
Well, it makes sense because a portion of those people, well, a vast portion of those people, obviously, are just basically cameo appearances, or they're the quote unquote
Yeah,
stars of Stab. But
right.
most of them you only see for 10 seconds and then you never see them again. So technically, in a way, it's not like they're really cast members of Scream 2, but
Yeah.
it just like
Well, I love that
seems
they
like
got
every
Tori
time you turn
Spelling
around, it's
after
like,
they said Tori Spelling.
yeah. Well, I think that was kind of sort of the wink, wink, tongue in cheek kind of sort of jab at them. Well, I know somebody in one of the discussion posts that I'd seen online while doing the notes referenced the fact that how come they referenced David Schwimmer in the movie, but yet they couldn't get David Schwimmer to make an appearance in the movie?
I mean,
And
we don't
it
know
is
that
what it
they
is.
couldn't. It could have just been. It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't necessary. I don't know.
Yeah, end up on the cutting room floor or whatever. David Schwimmer being in the movie doesn't make or break this movie, you know.
Yeah.
So it just it definitely felt like they went overboard a lot with the recognizable cast in this movie. And I get that there's recognizable cast in the first one, and I think they kind of sort of tune it back in part 3, but it definitely felt like for a hot minute that um, went over the top.
Yeah.
Did you have anything um, potentially related to um, Greek lore? that you wanted to bring up before we move
Oh,
on to our review portion of the show?
shit. Yeah, I mean, the only thing that was like kind of a glaring mistake, I felt like, and I don't, unless it's different at different universities, but I don't know. I mean, I am married to a frat boy. I dated several in college, one for 3 years, who did in fact give me his Greek letters on a necklace, and it's actually a very special thing. It's the equivalent of getting pinned back in whenever people did pins. So the whole "you're not supposed to give your Greek letters to your girl" is wild to me because it's not true. I don't know why they put that in there for the story, but I was like, that's not accurate. Like they don't beat your ass if you do that.
No, and yeah, and definitely 100% welcome, Simba fan. Amanda
Hello.
and I would actually agree with you. Scream 2 is a great movie, but
I will say it has
that
my
was
least
definitely
favorite
something.
ghost faces.
Your least favorite what?
Ghost faces. My least favorite killers. But
Oh
yeah.
well. So that was another thing that I kind of sort of felt like with this movie, they kind of sort of took the easy way out with the okay, let's just find a character and make her the vengeful mother.
Yeah.
And to me, that felt like it was the easy way out.
I mean, and Randy even says it. Mrs. Voorhees was an amazing serial killer. This is what makes me mad, and they do this in a lot of horror movies. It's not only Scream 2. In fact, they do it in another Scream with Richie and his family. It's like, okay, yeah, I get it. You're a grieving mom, but what was Sydney supposed to do? Just let Billy kill her? Like she's like, I'm gonna kill you because you killed my son. What was she supposed to do? Sit back and let him stab her to fucking death? Of course she fought for her own life. Like, I hate when horror movies or any movies do that because yes, it feels lazy. Like what was she supposed to do? Yeah, I killed your son, and I would and he died like a little bitch. That is one thing that annoys me so much about particularly horror movies when they do the whole revenge thing. Like, if you're exacting revenge, you know, there needs to be some kind of like at least Mrs. Voorhees was like, hey, my son died because they weren't paying attention. Okay, valid. You killed my son because he was trying to kill
Okay,
you.
yeah.
Sorry about you. So yeah.
100% agreed. If you were going to rate the movie out of 5,
I
what
mean,
would you give the movie?
it's really good. It has some. I didn't think it was as scary as the first one. To me, really, the only scare I can only think of two parts that were really like kind of scary to me. And I will give them credit for the car scene. That was a very like bomb under the table moment where you're holding your breath the whole time because you know an attack's coming, but you don't know when it's coming. And I will say that did scare me
Yeah.
really. Like I was holding my breath the first time I watched it, going, "Oh my god, oh my god!" And then she lays in the horn, and you're just like, "Oh." Um, and then the scene in the building where Gail is hiding behind the walls from Ghostface, I thought that was pretty good too. But um,
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, again, it's I didn't feel like the ghost face angle was as good in this one. Mickey, I get what they were trying to do, but I just don't think it landed. Like I get the whole blaming horror movies for violence. But it just, like Sarah Michelle Gellar's character says, that is so moral majority. You cannot blame movies for real life violence. Um, so yeah, I mean, out of 5, I'm gonna give it 4.1 holes through the eye socket.
You ass.
Did I take yours? Oh, and
You
Simba
took my
fans
number.
asking how we feel about Scream 6. I really liked it. I didn't think I would. No,
Yeah,
wait. I'm thinking of 7 is the one I thought I wouldn't like, but I did. But I liked 6 as well. I thought they're both good.
7's the one that comes out next year.
Oh, okay. 6 is the one in New York. All right. Well, anyway, I liked all of them. Those. I
6 is the
I
one
don't know.
without Nev Campbell.
I will say 5, I guess. I thought the Amber and Richie thing was also a little lazy. I would compare it to part 2. Like they're really killing all these people just to avenge their favorite movies. I thought that was a little lazy, but I still enjoyed the movie overall. He was like, "This guy nailed it on day 1. Never trust the love interest." So yeah,
Certain scene in Scream 5 didn't make any sense.
I'm sure there's a few, but I can't think of one.
Well,
But
so I enjoyed Scream 2. Again, not my favorite movie in the franchise. Um, yeah, I mean, it at the end of the day, it was fun and it served its purpose.
it wasn't worth
Um, and Simba fan is talking about what happened to Dewey and how Amber did it.
it. I find it hard to believe that she could have killed him like that, but whatever. It's an honor.
I think
Bum,
that's
bum.
probably what's being referenced. But it's fun. It's smart. It's quote unquote star studded. Let's force all these celebrities down our throats. Um, I'm gonna give it 4.2 because somebody stole my 4.1.
Oh.
Know it all geeky film nerds. Rest in
There's
peace,
always room for
Randy.
Candyman's daughter. She's bad for your teeth. Um,
And Simba fan thinks that Scream 3 is the weakest one of the franchise.
I don't understand that. And I hear a lot of people say that. I think we were in our horror squad chat and Luana and maybe even Chansey both said Scream 3 was their least favorite. I think Scream 3 has the best twist of all of them except, maybe the first one. And the first one only because they killed her mother. If it hadn't been for that part, oh, it's her
Yes.
boyfriend and his friend, whoopity doo. But the fact that they killed the mom, that was a good twist. Her having a long lost illegitimate brother was a great twist, and him being the killer was just like, I don't know, whatever. Plus, I love the whole Hollywood thing. Um, Casey, how would you rank the Scream movies? Like, what order would you put them in, best to worst?
Obviously, the original would be number one. Um, oh, my number two would probably be. That's tough. I'm gonna go number.
4. So I felt like you were going to say.
I no, I'm thinking about it because well, it's tough because once you get past the greatness that is number one, I feel like everything else is kind of sort of it bunches up in the middle. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing, but
Yeah.
um, One 5-3 2-4-6.
Okay.
And I feel like depending upon my mood, anything after number one
Yeah.
easily could flip flop and change depending upon the mood I'm in at the time.
I mean, I just kind of think of it
So,
about like, in preference of what I would watch. Like, pick a Scream movie to watch. This would kind of be like the order. I would go 1, 3, 5, 6, 4, and then 2.
but again, at the end of the day, it's still,
They're all close. Yeah.
yeah. And
Oh, yes, I love David
hey,
Warner. He's in My Best Friend's a Vampire. I love him. He's the drama teacher.
oh, I'm like, who is? Well, I know
Yeah.
who he is, but I
Right. Yeah.
don't
I love
remember
him in My
the
Best Friend's a
face.
Vampire.
So
All right.
this was
Oh,
definitely a lots and lots of fun. What?
the only other thing I was going to
Go
say
ahead.
is that I adore the Collective Soul song at the end of this movie. She said, I love that song. It's so pretty.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of sort of laughed at the whole um, Top Gun moment in the cafeteria.
That was so cringe. It's
It
so
oh, it was
cringe.
cringe. And it was cheesy, but
Oh, yeah. David Warner and Titanic. I forgot about that.
oh yeah. So we obviously can't wrap up the episode as always without thanking the hundreds for being here each and every week. You guys are incredibly awesome, amazing, and you guys are the reason why we keep doing the show each and every week and entertaining ourselves. But yeah, I love the Scream franchise. It's definitely the most consistent one.
I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, the other big three slashers are all over the fucking place with continuity and
Yeah.
all of that. Um,
As much as Halloween is
I
my
do feel
favorite
like,
franchise, we have got to figure this out. Sorry. I
mm,
would say, as much as Halloween is my favorite franchise, it is the least consistent of all of them because it has way too many different timelines. But yeah,
oh, 100%. And I'm not putting it down for, by any stretch of the imagination for that. But I was just going to say, too, that I feel like Scream 2 is probably of, and I'm only counting the four being Friday the 13th, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Scream. The four big slashers. Scream 2 is probably my favorite part two of all the part twos that are out there.
ooh, it's Friday the 13th for me. Jenny is one of my favorite final girls. I mean, so is Sydney, but she's in most of the movies.
So, again, you have Scream 2, in my opinion, at the top. And then realistically, Friday the 13th and Halloween are kind
Very,
of sort of right there, nipping at its heels. And then we're not
yeah,
talking
Freddy
about
better be at the bottom. Yeah, I'd go Friday, Halloween, Scream, and then Freddy. I liked Scream 5 a lot. Simba fans asking how we feel about it. I was very hesitant because I was like a movie, you know, I mean, Sydney's in it,
Mhm.
but barely. And then Scream 6, you find out she's not going to be in it. Um, I liked Scream 5 a lot, but again, I thought the killer choices was a little lazy.
No, it definitely. I wasn't expecting a whole lot because again, it's one of those things, and we've talked about it before on the show where I'm not as much of a huge fan of sequels that get made way too long after the last movie. So there's that. But um um it definitely pleasantly surprised me. Um Again, don't necessarily think it's the greatest movie ever in the world. I don't necessarily think it's the worst movie in the world either. I mean,
Yeah.
I've sat through Friday the 13th part 8 and I've sat through Nightmare on Elm Street 2. So,
I will say, if we do not get McDreamy in Scream 7, I will riot. If we had to do a whole movie without Sydney and
oh,
we know she's married to Mark and they don't get Patrick Dempsey in that movie, I'm going to stab someone. We're going to be making Stab 9 because I went to go avenge my movies.
so hopefully, um, in lieu of raging Amanda, you will people give us Patrick Dempsey in Scream 7.
You know what's good for you.
And I definitely did not like the whole idea of killing off Randy, but I kind of sort of see where they were coming from as well.
They
So,
had to kill off an OG character and he was the easiest one. But we're talking about a comment.
yeah,
So people who are listening don't know the context. Um,
yeah, no,
I wish they hadn't killed Randy, but he was the easiest OG character to. He was the most disposable, which sucks. But
yeah, you're not killing off Sydney clearly, and you kind of sort of need Gale and Dewey at that point. So, who do you have left at your disposal? Unfortunately, Randy.
yeah, because
So,
you're not killing off Dewey either.
do you have
You know,
any shape?
you know, there are rumors that
No,
Stu might still be alive and might show his face in part 7. I'm not normally on conspiracy theories, but I'm in on this theory that Stu is still alive. But who knows?
she bounced a big ass freaking TV off his freaking forehead.
That's true. It's very true. All right. Anyway, yeah, that was fun.
The, and yeah, the college setting for Scream 2 actually had a very classic feel to it. Like there wasn't really a whole lot of like new age feel. It was a very like old school renaissancey type feel to it. So
Yeah.
definitely a good thing as well. Do you have any shameless plugs you want to throw out there?
Uh, no. There is an episode of the SIP list that I need to publish, and I keep forgetting about, but hopefully I can do it this week. Um, we did do our top 5 favorite horror movie twists, and Scream 3 was one of mine. So there you go. But yeah, other than that, the SIP list is still kind of on a on and off status right now. So, but yeah, this was fun. I'm having fun with Horror Squad, and eating at the movies keeps me busy, so I'm good.
And at the end of the day, hopefully, we will be having a Literature Reapers episode to give to you sooner rather than later.
Yes.
So, last comment for the episode. How did you feel about Scream 4 revealing Jill, Sydney's cousin, as a killer?
That's another one I didn't really care for. I thought it was meh. I liked Jill as a character, and I thought she made a good killer. But the whole
Mhm.
she just wants. I mean, I don't know. I guess I could see it. It wasn't terrible.
No, it wasn't horrible by any stretch of the imagination. Probably not my least favorite killer in the franchise, and obviously it's not my number one favorite either. I mean, at the end of the day, I would probably say my favorite killer would have been Stu and Billy,
Yeah.
just because they're the ones they walked so that Mickey and his mom and Roman and
No, no,
everybody
no.
else could
Roman
freaking
started all this. If you want to get technical, this is all because of Roman. He might not have done the first kills, but he
blah
orchestrated the whole
blah
thing. So
blah. Orchestrate shit.
he pulled the strings.
And no, I was actually pleasantly surprised with Scream 4. It felt like it could have been something way worse than what it was, and it was a pretty decent movie. And
And
it's coming up semi close in the rotation for getting an episode on an Evening at the Movies as well.
and fuck me wow was
Not
one of
until
my
we,
favorite phrases for a while. Of
well, it would be.
course.
So,
Right.
what do we got coming up on an Evening at the Movies? We've got, like I said earlier at the start of the episode, next week we will be talking Bram Stoker's Dracula, as well as the week after that we've got Final Destination coming up, and we may have a surprise movie coming up in the next week or two as well. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with that. Just stay tuned on social media, and we will keep you updated as to what's coming. So, new episodes are dropping each and every Wednesday morning, and generally, for the most part, I guess Saturdays and Sundays are the best time to find us for live episode or our live recordings. So there's that as well. And then join us in November when Amanda and I will be thanks Grishaming and talking about John Grisham movies for November.
Heck yeah.
This was a lot of fun, long overdue,
Yes.
and the main thing I don't love about 3 is that it only has one killer where the other movies. Yeah, but at the same time,
He had to work a lot
it
harder.
was something different. Oh, exactly, and to go as long as he went, keeping that shit under wraps,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot harder than people would think it is.
Yup.
So, um, this was, like I said, lots of fun, long overdue. I mean, it's been a while since we talked about the OG Scream,
Yeah.
and there's all of that. So, thank you guys for being here, Amanda, as you were.
Thanks everybody that watched live, and thanks everybody for listening or watching now. And we hope you enjoyed it. And we hope you all come back for an evening at the movies. Goodbye.
Peace out, Hair Grace.
Bleh.